on our TikTok, I've been doing box flip hair flips to see if I can do one just like right off the cuff. Dang. Ah, that was close.
3, 2, 1, bro.
What's up, everybody? My name is Nick Murphy. I'm one half of the Brothers Murph, and this is Metagame Minute. Metagame Minute is a weekly segment where Mike or I talk about anything we want to talk about in the gaming world today. And today I want to talk about binging board games. That was a lot in one breath. Binging board games. Mike and I, this last weekend, a couple days ago, played all of Pandemic Legacy in one sitting. We actually will have a video about that coming out on Friday. That's kind of our next challenge video. The last challenge we did is where we played all of our games in 1 week. Check out this card if you haven't seen that video. It's really, really cool. We played 203 games in 1 week. It was super fun. We had a really good time. We enjoy doing those kinds of videos and those kinds of challenges. We, for some reason, think they're very, very fun. And so the next one we wanted to do was, let's see, okay, we played a whole bunch of games in 1 week. Let's try and play one giant game in one sitting. And so we decided to play Pandemic Legacy Season 1, which we had played some of, but we hadn't played the entire thing. We decided to play it in one sitting. We live streamed the whole thing. It was super, super, super fun. And there will be a video about that coming out on Friday, just FYI. But nonetheless, it kind of got us talking about this kind of concept of binging board games, specifically board games like Pandemic Legacy and legacy games, campaign games, or maybe even just a whole bunch of board games all at once. And is binging a board game, like, I was gonna say, is it okay? Of course it's okay, you can do whatever the hell you want. But like, is it a good idea? And especially considering that like so much of entertainment nowadays is based around binging, especially all TV, Netflix, Hulu, all these shows, so many of these networks are literally banking and counting on people binging them all in like 1 weekend. You watch, new season of Mandalorian comes out, the vast majority of people are probably all watching the entire thing in like 2 days, in like 1 weekend. And that's kind of a big, big part of the entertainment industry's business model at this point. And it kind of got us thinking about that because we played all of Pandemic Legacy in like 13 and a half hours. And we actually had a really, really good time. And I think with legacy games particularly, it's difficult because a lot of times there ends up being these big gaps in between plays, and I really do think that hurts the story a lot. We've played that way with like time stories where we tried to play through it, but we always just had these really big gaps in between plays. You forget things, you can't remember what's happening, you have to constantly try to like rehash things, and it just kind of like lessens it for me personally. And when we played all of Pandemic Legacy, I was like, this is the way to do this. I really think that games like Pandemic Legacy that aren't too long, I'm like, do it in a weekend. Like get a place with your friends or a spouse or whoever you're playing with or something like that and play it all at once. Like not necessarily all in one sitting like we did, but play it in a 3-day weekend, because then you're never getting pulled out of the experience. You're always in it. You're always like, oh cool, this just happened. Oh man, that's amazing. And I think that's really, really great if you can do it that way. So I do think that binging board games works in certain circumstances like that. It kind of also goes for something like D&D or any kind of role-playing game. Gosh, if you can, like try and do a whole bunch of it over like a weekend, because then you can stay in that world, you can stay immersed in it. And I think that's a really cool way to go about playing board games, kind of the same way that we go about the way we consume TV at this point, where it's just kind of like, it's all at once. You spend a weekend, you're like, you know what, I'm gonna watch all of this show in this weekend. I'm gonna spend 100% of my time just doing that. That's kind of how we consume stuff nowadays. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, it's just kind of a different way of doing things. And I do think some board games kind of work like that. And I thought we was kind of an interesting topic, so I wanted to throw it out to y'all. Like, have you ever binged a board game like that? And honestly, are conventions kind of like binging board games? A lot of people go to conventions and they play board games day and night, and they get like 1 hour sleep because that's the time they just binge. And if you're one of the people who does that, is that satisfying? Would you rather it not be that way? It's kind of an interesting idea, and so I wanted to throw it all out to you because it's kind of cool, and especially for legacy games, I actually think it might be the way to do it. But hey, who knows? Let me know down in the comments what you think about binging board games and all that kind of stuff. And whether you binge board games or you don't do anything at all, you don't play board games, you're just here because you found us because the YouTube algorithm is weird. More meta, the more better. Thank you so much for watching that video. If you want to check out that marathon video that I was talking about where we played all of our games in 1 week, check out that video right there. And that video right there is going to be last week's Metagame Minute where Mike talked about something. I honestly can't remember off the top of my head. What did Mike talk about? cheese. It probably wasn't cheese, but nonetheless, it was probably something pretty cool. So check out that video. Make sure to give this video a like, a share, a subscribe. You know what to do. Come on, it's YouTube, baby.